The mysteries that lurk beneath the surface of the sea rival those in outer space. And the man who first took us there was Jacques Cousteau. The world-famous explorer's grandchildren, Céline and Fabienne Cousteau, are now carrying on their family's legacy as they set out to uncover tales from the ocean that have remained a secret. Here's a preview of their new Science Channel series called Legends of the Deep.
Do you see that?
What is that?
It's huge.
For generations, the name Cousteau has been associated with a spirit of adventure and discovery. Our grandfather pioneered the earliest efforts in scuba technology, giving the world its first glimpse at the vast underwater universe.
Our grandfather devoted his life to ocean exploration, and now we are picking up where he left off. Using brand new technologies, we are continuing our grandfather's mission to uncover the secrets of some of the world's greatest ocean mysteries.
And here to tell us more about this new series and about his family's mission to educate and promote ocean conservation is underwater adventurer Fabienne Cousteau. It's so nice to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Let's start with the series, all right? And then I want to talk a little bit more about your family and its legacy. Mm-hmm. So you look at this series, and this is a true adventure series.
Yes.
And you and I were talking a little bit beforehand, and you mentioned it almost goes back to what your grandfather was first doing, the notion of adventure. So tell me about the decision you and your sister say, all right, let's pick up that mantle of adventure and let's do this. How did it come about?
My grandfather has done, and my grandparents really, and their crew have gone around the world for over 50 years. And it went from pure adventure and exploration to adventure and exploration with a conservation message as time went on. We thought it'd be nice to dive back into the essence of ocean exploration in a way that is impassioning to just about everyone out there. You know, it goes back to what my grandfather used to say, which is people protect what they love. They love what they understand, and they understand what they're taught. We want to be able to reach out to an audience that doesn't necessarily go towards the conservation type of programming, but may be really interested in the adventure part of it, so that we can reel them in and show how amazing, how mysterious, and how magical this underwater world is.
You have a number of locations here.
Yes.
Where you go seeking adventure and discovery. What was the discovery that you were looking for?
There's so many mysteries out there. The ocean's barely been explored at all. I mean, we've explored less than 5% of our ocean world to date. Well, it's 3.4 billion cubic kilometers of volume. So there's a lot of space left out there to go explore. And there are a lot of mysteries out there, from shipwrecks to legends and so on and so forth. And not to play too much into the name of it, but that really is the essence of it, is to go and maybe be a little bit of the underwater detective to try and figure out some of these mysteries, such as one of the most famous ever UFO sightings by a whole bunch of people, which was substantiated by the folks over in Nova Scotia. So we wanted to go and see what this was really about. To shipwrecks, for example, the one in Cyprus, or right off of Cyprus, that was mysteriously capsized and sunk. And there were a lot of rumors with regard to PLO and arms deals and things like that. So going into and penetrating there to go and look for clues as to what possibly could have happened, to the Blue Hole, and going and diving into those legends, I mean, literally legends from the Mayans on up to modern day, of sea monsters and what people really had seen in this most iconic of places in the ocean.
When you watch it, it's a great sense of adventure for those of us, the viewers, because we don't know what you're going to find. Did you have any idea what you were going to find?
I'll quote what my grandfather used to say: if I knew what I was going to find, I wouldn't bother going. And that's really part of the essence of being an adventurer, is going out there and really seeking out new and interesting adventures, things that may hopefully tantalize not only the viewer, but also hopefully enrich in our lives in some way.
When you watch it, you see yourself and your sister and diving.
Yes.
But I don't know that we get a sense of how big a team was involved to get this done. Give us a better sense of that.
Well, I'm so glad that you touched on that, because when you see on camera is really a fraction of 1% of what goes on to make an expedition possible. There's an entire team behind it, from the film crew to the crew on the boats, logistics, and so on and so forth. And really, the people in front of the camera may transport you through the essence of what the story is. But something like a Cyprus or a Blue Hole, that takes a lot of preparation, a lot of dedication from an amazing team that is able to have us do what we do.
Let me talk about some of the things that you've done here, because I think these are all fascinating. Now, one thing that I was astonished by, back in 2014, when you did a dive for 31 days, what was the genesis of that? Why did you want to do that?
Well, when my grandfather started out, the tools necessary for ocean exploration just weren't there. It was either relegated to hard hat divers looking for sponges, or a handful of Navy divers who were placing mines or what have you in the ocean. The vast majority of the world knew nothing about what was below that blue veneer. So he had to build some of those equipment, including the regulator, or scuba, as we all know it today, so that he could fly free underwater to go and film what he wanted to film. The first underwater camera housings, the first underwater submarines for scientific research, and the list goes on and on. And one of the things I found fascinating is that he built some of the first underwater habitats to see if human beings could live and work underwater for extended periods of time on the continental shelf. And so I always found that fascinating, having a house underwater, a laboratory underwater at the bottom of the sea, to be able to go out and explore and come back to that house rather than having to go back to the surface, was always a fascination to me. I was further encouraged, if you will, by a family friend by the name of Dr. Sylvia Earle, who you may or may not have heard of. She's a fabulous ocean hero. And in 2012, I went to go visit her at the world's only remaining undersea laboratory called Aquarius. And I thought, wow, why aren't we doing more of these? So 2014 comes around, and this was the one and only time I was faced with the reality that they were going to pull it out. So it's now or never to go and experience what it's like and to highlight the importance of underwater habitats for ocean exploration. So I took a crazy team along with myself who believed in the idea of spending 31 days at the bottom of the sea to not only highlight the importance of ocean exploration and science, but also bring it back to the world live from the bottom of the sea for 31 days. It happened to be the longest anyone's been at Aquarius. It was certainly not an easy endeavor, but it was very fulfilling. And I've got to say, at the end of the 31 days, I was probably the one that wanted to stay down the most for another 31 days.
Really?
If I could.
It was that enlightening, and that even to some extent comfortable for you to have this become your habitat?
The ocean's it's my world. I feel more comfortable under the sea than I do on land. And for me, New York City is a wonderful place, full of life and movement and noise and everything else. But really, when you dive into the underwater cities, the coral reef, and you see how amazing that fireworks display of life is and how similar it is to life on land, but just with different aquatic creatures. You have the hospitals, you have the restaurants, you have the doctors, you have all these things going on, the housing, et cetera, in this underwater coral reef. It's just a fascinating place. And to be able to spend presumably unlimited amounts of time down there from a habitat is a gift of time that any scuba diver would gladly have. It's one of my biggest frustrations as a scuba diver is having to go back to the surface.
Yeah. What would you say if someone said to you, how would you like your family to be remembered? What would your answer be?
hopefully inspirational to better understanding of the importance of our ocean as the life support system that it is, the universal connector, if you will, the reason why we exist, our natural resource bank account, all those things combined into what makes us us. Hopefully it's inspirational in a way that we'll pay better attention to our ocean environment, one that we'll be better shepherds of or stewards of, and one that we'll be proud of to give back to our future generations the way we've taken for granted. You know, at the end of the day, our mission is not complete. We are facing some very grave issues in the ocean world, ones that were just beginning to flourish, or I should say, show themselves when my grandfather's career was ending, or his life was ending. And hopefully we've picked up the philosophy and the mission where he and my parents have left off, so that we can continue to inspire those next generations to do better than we have.
Well, I can say for all that you have and the family have been successful. So Fabian, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Fantastic. Remember one thing.
Yes.
Only the impossible missions succeed.
What a great mantra, isn't it? That's great. And Legends of the Deep premieres Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on Science Channel. To stream the full season, you can visit our website at metrofocus.org.